and he looked pretty impressive in winning as well. So it'll be good to speak to both of them, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Wilkinson, like you said, a undefeated competitor, fighting on the tough smashes, UK versus Australia. And Brian the Predator Rogers, definitely a household name as far as Bellator fans are concerned. So, yeah, definitely another great show lined up for this week.
Brilliant. Well, before we ring Mike, we'll ring him in about 2 minutes. Just want to give a shout out to Jake and Chris, our co-hosts on the MMA podcast Roundtable. Of course, they do their own podcast as well, which is live on a Wednesday. They're both brilliant at what they do. They're both fun to listen to. You can click a link on our site, which will take you to theirs, and also listen to us on the Roundtable as well. And we've got a contest later as well. We've got Fight Busters. We gave those clues out on Monday. We'll give out the initials today, and we'll let you know how you can get the answers to us for them. Right, shall we give Mike a ring and get kick started, get straight into it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get things going.
Right, let's get him on. Right, we're doing this. This is going to be a phone interview. He's not on Skype, so we're going to do this via the phone. So let's ring him now.
Yes, you have the lucky pleasure of getting to do this one solo.
Yep. Mind you, you've given me some good questions, which is good. So that's... Right, we're just calling them now. Yeah, can you hear that phone ringing?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Hi, Mike, you alright?
Yeah, how's it going?
I'm alright. I'm going well, thanks, Mike. Just to let you know, you're on with Ray from MMA Mental.
Okay, then.
Brilliant. So this is Mike Wilkinson, who's obviously currently a contestant on Tough Smashes. So how's things going since coming out of the house?
Great, mate. Since I've come out now, I've just been back. I obviously had a couple of weeks off, just chilling out, having some drinks with the lads, eating what I can. And then after a couple of weeks, just started back training, then grinding it out, training hard.
And how did... I know we can't obviously go too much into detail about what's happened in the house, because obviously it hasn't aired yet, but what was your experiences like in the house?
In the house, it was all mixed emotions. Obviously, it was good. At the same time, it was horrible. It was mad because obviously it was hard being away from my normal coach, because I've not been away from my normal coach for longer than a week in like 3 years. So for being away from my coach in that instance, that was pretty hard. I get coached by different people every day. Obviously being away from your family, that was a lot harder, your loved ones. But the pictures what we had at the side of our bedside, each night you'd look at them and that made it that bit easier, and you just know that you're doing it for them, plus you're doing it for yourself and everyone back home. So obviously them pictures made a big difference.
It's such a big opportunity, isn't it? It's not the kind of thing you can really turn your nose up at, because of what it can lead to. It's security for you and your family, isn't it, if it all works out?
Yeah, it was a dream come true. Like when I got the phone calls to say that I was part of the cast, I don't know what it feels like to win the lottery, but to me that was the lottery. So, and I had that feeling in the belly, and it was the best feeling I've ever had. It was on par with winning a fight, but it was an amazing feeling. And just to get that call, I was to represent my country for the Ultimate Fighter against Australia was amazing.
And also, was you pleased when you found out you wasn't going to have to fight to get into the house? Because it's normally a theme to fight to get in, and it's kind of like a half-hearted. It's kind of, you're halfway there and you're not there, because you've got this opportunity to get in the house, but you're not guaranteed. Where with you were straight in the house. So was that a relief?
No, it wasn't a relief actually, because I was training, even though what I do, I always mentally prepare for something that I like. Before I got told I was in the house, I prepared as though I was in the house, and I prepared as though I was going to have to fight to get in the house. So in my head, all along, I was thinking, I'm going to have to fight somebody, because they didn't tell us whether we was or we wasn't. So I was in my head that I was, so I was prepared, and then to find out that we wasn't, it was a bit of a bonus, but obviously at the same time I wanted to fight because I wanted to earn my spot to get into the house. But it is what it is, and I was just glad to be selected.
Yeah, obviously there was quite a lot of good guys that went down and weren't selected. So to be selected is brilliant. You talked a little bit about the coaching. What was the difference in the coaching you're used to and the coaching the way it was done by Ross Pearson and his team?
There wasn't that much difference, to tell you the truth. It was just different because they were different people, but I didn't already know from my coach at Everton Submission. It was just obviously the time difference for training, and like if it was beat down and sore, I'm not the kind of guy to turn around and say, oh, I don't want to do that because I'm injured, I'll just crack on. But obviously when you're back home, you can, if you've had an hard day sparring, you can ease it up at night because you do your own thing. But with her, obviously training twice a day, one in the morning, one in the evening, that was kind of different because you were grinding it out constantly. But that's what makes it better. That's what makes you a better fighter at the end of the day.
And what was the, I mean, again, talking about what's happened so far, I'm not going to talk about any of the fights, but talk about what's happened so far in the house. What was it like, what was the dynamic like between the UK guys and the Australian guys?
Well, the UK guys, we was all having a laugh and it was good, and obviously just having a crack really, but the Aussies, they were just boring. They didn't have a laugh, they didn't train, they'd all just sit together, eat, and not really do anything. But myself, I don't know, I can't speak for the others, but I didn't really speak to the Australians, especially the lightweights, because I knew further down the line I was going to be fighting one of them, so I'd have a laugh and a crack with the UK lads, but with the Aussies, I'd stay well away. I wouldn't want to talk to you, I didn't want to be the friend, because potentially they're trying to take my dream away, so I kept myself away. But other than that, the UK lads, if it weren't for the UK lads, it would have been a shit show. The Aussies were boring as out.
Did you know any of the UK guys before you went in, or was that your first time meeting them?
No, I didn't know none of them. When Brendan came in, I'd seen Brendan once on a show and chatted to him a bit, and I'd chatted to him a bit at the trials, but before that, no, I didn't know anybody.
Had you heard of any of them from fights on the UK scene?
Yeah, I'd heard of them all, been on the UK scene, so yeah, in that case I knew them, but to talk to, no, but as soon as we got there, and they all got on straight away, so there was no problems in that aspect. That
makes it a lot better, doesn't it? I mean, obviously, looking at, I'm an outsider looking in, watching the show. One of the more unique characters on the show, especially for the UK scene, is obviously Colin Freak Show Fletcher. What was he like to live with?
Oh, Colin was on fire. He was a good lad. Like I was saying before, it was good to have people in who you could chat to and have a laugh. But Colin, each day did something new. All the time he had something up his sleeve, making us all laugh, making the day better. Really, like when you're all training, you're all down, you're missing your family. Colin will trip me up. He'll just do something stupid and it'll be funny, and he'll terrorise something to do with George or whatever. But Freak Shows is a character, but he's a good lad. Yeah,
some of the stuff he's done so far, it's been what we've seen. It's certainly been it's been brilliant to watch. I mean,
Sorry, it's been really good. It's only going to get better as well with the Freak Show because he just gets madder as the series goes off.
I'll look forward to that then. Right, let's talk a little bit about you and go a little bit into your backstory. Because obviously you're on Tough Ultimate Fighter now, but you're not. You know, you've earned your way there. You've fought on the UK scene and worked your way up, and then made the breakthrough onto the Ultimate Fighter. So, looking at your record, you're 7-0. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
You're currently fighting on the Ultimate Fighter at lightweight. What got you into mixed martial arts? You started fighting in 2009. What made you want to fight mixed martial arts?
Well, what it was, when I was obviously growing up, I played rugby, so I was always into sports. And then I took a break out of it. I was working, and I was earning money, but I weren't training, so I wasn't happy. And then I started watching the UFC on TV, and I thought, oh, he's pretty good. So I looked into it, but a lot of people, it was all wrestling, so I thought, well, I don't want to go into it blind. So I went to, I found it where the nearest freestyle wrestling club was, Olympic Wrestling, and it was Aspel in Wigan. So I went there for a few months. I did a competition at that, I got silver. And then again, another job opportunity came along, so I took that. I had to do that to earn some money. And then after a bit, then I ended up losing that job. And then I asked about where the nearest MMA gym was, and I got directed to ASW, which is Everton Submission Wrestling. And I went there, and like a good mate of mine, a good team friend, Chris Orban, and he just, as soon as I got there, he just beat me up. He just, honestly, just day in, day out, he would beat me up. And the fact that he was beating me up so easy, it was kind of, it was annoying, but it was good at the same time because I wanted to be like that. So that gave me the drive to just keep going every day. And like, I caught the bug then, and I never looked back. And I was teaching for money, and then I got a job on a stall selling protein. So I just went about it that way. But yeah, since I got this bug, I never looked back.
So before you started doing the submission wrestling, which is, I think it's fair to say, if you're going to do MMA, you need to have some skills in submission wrestling. Have you done any other kind of martial art before, or any boxing or anything like that?
No, I did. Obviously, like I said, I did freestyle wrestling for a couple of months, and then 7 months working again, and then I went to Everton Submission. As soon as I started Everton Submission, I joined the local League ABC boxing club and I had like one amateur fight and that. I won that. So I was just like doing a bit of submission and a bit of boxing, and then I did my first semi-pro fight. I won that, and then each fight I built it up. I built my game up and started doing more things because I want to become more of a well-rounded fighter. And as each fight I've won, I've just kept going and training each harder each time. Yeah,
I mean, I think that shows on your record because I mean, looking at your record, like say 7-0. I'm just looking at your pro, not your amateur. But you won your first 4 fights by submission, and then you won your next couple by TKO. So you've obviously shown that you've got the submission base, and you've obviously worked on your striking as well.
Yeah, well, we've got world-class coaches like Darren Morris. He trains like Paul Cahoon. He trains Rob Broughton. He's like the head coach in Spain. He's like I've said to him before. He's like a Rubik's cube, but you just can't trust him. He's got an answer for everything, and he's bang on with his wrestling. The style that we've picked up from amateur submission, as well as like me and Chris Orban, the style just seems to beat everybody else's style. And I'll always dance with the one that brought me, and I will stay where I am. And I will just keep getting better in what I do, and obviously training in different places from my stand-up, etc., my Thai, my boxing. I'm just gonna keep getting better and learning.
So looking over your record, obviously it's fair to say you're still pretty early on in your career. You've got your 7 fights and your 7 wins. Have you got a fight that stands out to you as a favourite?
The Ali McLean fight was a dingy one because I think they just threw me in against Ali McLean so he could have beat me up or whatever, because it was only my 3rd pro fight then, and I think he had about 8 or 9 fights, and obviously when I got in there he looked massive, but obviously he nearly got me with rear naked, but I just dug deep and just kept pushing forward, and my style just came out on top, and I was pretty happy with that win. But I'm happy with every win I get. Every fight I have is the biggest fight of my life. It doesn't matter who it is or when. That fight is the biggest fight of my life because I do not want to lose. I'm scared of losing. So the reason I'm scared of losing will just make me train as hard as what I do. But all my wins, I love every win I've got, and all my wins to come in the future.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Ali McLean fight because I think I'm looking at your resume. That was the name that jumped out at me because obviously for those that don't know, he was a tough live contestant, wasn't he? He had to fight. He lost his fight to get into the house, but he was one of the 32 cast members, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Well, after that loss of mine, he's gone on to win, I think, it's about 6 or 7 fights. He's doing really well. I think he trains down at K-Bomb now. Well, he was at K-Bomb when I fought him, but yeah, he's done really well since he's fought me, so good on him. Just unlucky that he lost in the tough life. Yeah,
if I remember rightly, I'm sure the guy who was fighting was a wrestler, and I think he just lay on him. I think it's hard to adapt a lot of the time to the American wrestlers if you haven't trained in the wrestling base, and I think a lot of the UK guys have struggled with that when they've gone over.
Well, yeah, it is hard, but if you've got a good submission game, a lot of freestyle wrestlers can fall into a submission quite easily if they're really strong at freestyle wrestling. Because what we do all aspects. We do freestyle, we do submission, we catch wrestlers, we do jiu-jitsu, we do everything and build it and mix it into one. We've got like our own style. And yeah, so whether it's a freestyle wrestler or jiu-jitsu, I think our style is a pretty good one.
I've got some questions from my co-host as well. He sent me a few questions. Unfortunately, because we're not on Skype, he can't join in the interview. But he has sent me a few questions to ask you. And he was watching one of your fights, obviously when he was doing research. And he wanted me to ask you some questions on your 6th fight, which was against Artem Lobov. So this is, I'm reading off the screen now. These are the questions he sent me. So in the first round, you were dropped with a big punch, but you showed great skill and heart by reversing him into his guard. How did it feel to dominate the second and finish the fight from mount with such brutal ground and pound after such a shaky start?
is. I'm not a slow starter, but it only takes me a while just to get into the rhythm. But yeah, obviously he caught me with that punch. I ended up on my back. But like how we train, it's just we train really hard. So when it's in a fight, nothing is new. We train for a war, and anything earlier is a bonus. So for three rounds, I'm just gonna go at it a million miles an hour. I'm just gonna keep pushing it until I either get a TKO or a submission. So to TKO Artem Lobov was a good win because he's a tough opponent and he's beat some good people.
Was that a fight at featherweight as well?
Yeah, it's at featherweight. I'm naturally a featherweight fighter. I had my first 5 fights at lightweight, but because I used to be a lot bigger because I used to play rugby, I used to walk around like 80 kilo, and then as I started dieting, I was losing weight, and then up to my 5th pro fight, I didn't really do a cut. I think that was the Uchi one. I didn't really do a cut, so I thought after that I might as well just to featherweight. So I went to featherweight, and then I think after the Ultimate Fighter, I'll probably end up going back to featherweight or even bantamweight.
Oh wow, that'd be interesting then. So obviously, when an opportunity comes along like this, if that's the weight you've got to go for, then you know it makes sense to bulk up for that fight or not cut the weight as most fighters obviously do. We've seen it with a lot of guys that have gone in at a bigger weight and have done well and then dropped down. But do you think you could see yourself dropping down to bantamweight then?
Pardon?
Could you see yourself dropping down to bantamweight?
Yeah, I can see myself dropping to bantam because in the house, we was all weighing ourselves, and I was obviously the smallest lightweight. There were people like walking around 80 kilo, and I was only walking around at 71, 72 kilos, and I was eating decent. I wasn't even really dieting. So I think if I were dieting back then, I could have easily been walking around at 69 kilos. So I think Ross said I'm like I walk around at the same as Dominic Cruz, and he said I could actually drop to bantamweight. So I think I'll be looking at that for the future.
That would be very interesting to see how you would fare at a smaller weight. I think it's always hard fighting up a weight. So obviously we don't know what's happening in the toughen with this season toughen. And to be fair, I don't want to know. I like to see it as it unfolds. But I'm going to assume that you're going to be in the UFC, and I'm going to assume that you're going to drop to bantamweight. Regardless of what's happened, is there anyone in the bantamweight division you'd like to fight? Maybe when you make your move to bantamweight, who would like to be your first fight?
I don't call people out. I never have done. I'll just fight whoever. I've never turned down a fight. I've never asked for anybody. Whoever any promoter or including UFC put in front of me, I'm just going to prepare for that person, train my hardest, and just go in there and give it 110% and get the W.
I think that's a great attitude to have. I wanted to ask you kind of like a reflection question as well. Obviously, you got into your professional fighting in 2009. Could you imagine 3 years later that you'd be on an Ultimate Fighter season?
No, I couldn't. Before, like I was saying, before I started training, I used to buy. I've got all the Ultimate Fighter box sets. I used to watch it when I was a big fan, and I used to think to myself, "Oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that." And if I look at my life, how I used to be like 3.5, 4 years ago when I started, just going out working, going out the weekends, drinking with the lads, just being an average lad, to where I am now, I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I was in the house. It took me probably 2 weeks to actually realise that I was in the Ultimate Fighter. I was like, shit, I kept nipping myself. And when Dana White came in and shook my hand, I shook his hand. I think it was mumbled to him. I couldn't even speak. I was gobsmacked. It was my dream came true, and I couldn't believe it. I was so overwhelmed.
I was going to ask you about Dana White. He's such like an iconic figure, and he's just got this aura about him, hasn't he? And when he does his speeches, even watching at home on TV, you can't help but be motivated by his speeches.
I know, it's like we was all like, because when we first got there, we was all jet lagged and we were tired and whatever. But then when Dana White came in, he had his little speech with us at the beginning of the series. It was like, fucking hell, right, let's do this, let's have these Aussies. It was unreal. He's just an amazing guy, and what he's done for the sport and whatever he's built the UFC is just amazing. Yeah,
I don't think we'd have a sport if it wasn't for him, to be honest. I think without his drive, I mean, we wouldn't have any kind of level of MMA, not the way it is now, I don't think. I think he's done a hell of a lot for the sport, and he gets a lot of stick as well, but I've never understood why people give him stick, because I don't think we'd be where we are now if it wasn't for him.
I think people just give him stick because they're jealous. The only reason people give people shit, and obviously it's just jealousy, that's all it is, because obviously they're not in his shoes, they're not doing what he's doing. But what he's done for the sport is amazing, and it's only going to get bigger. I think if it is now, it's going to be one of the biggest sports in the world.
Yeah, I think so as well. But he's always so grounded as well. I mean, like when you see him interviewed, he's very, very real. He doesn't seem fake or anything put on. And like, I went to the event in Nottingham, and he was there with the fans for ages, and he doesn't have to do that.
No, he's a down-to-earth guy. You can, if you've seen videos of him on YouTube, he's just a down-to-earth guy, and what you see is what you get. He don't bullshit, he'll just tell you straight. And I think that's what makes Dana White so, everyone likes him and stuff. And why he's made the sport as big as what it is today.
Just, we'll let you go shortly. Just want to ask you, what was it like filming the series in Australia as well? Because obviously you were on their territory really. It was like an away match, wasn't it? So what was it like being out in Australia?
It was a bit weird, obviously being in Australia, but we didn't really get to see anything. Obviously we was in and out 24/7. It was like Groundhog Day. So like we get over but the only view we had was on the balcony looking over Sydney Harbour, which was pretty nice. That was good. And when we're travelling to the gym, looking at normal people walking down the street, that was a bit of a highlight to the day as well. But we didn't really. Obviously, as you've seen on the thing, we went out to a beach. And they said, oh no, we can't take you to a decent beach, whatever. So we went to like a shitty beach, ended up on the grass at the side of it, but the Aussies, they went on the big massive sand dunes. That was always awesome, but it is what it is. We trained, we did what we could out of it, and it was all just, I would just have to be there. I wasn't even bothered about how it was, or being in the backyard, or whether it was in the UK. I was just buzzing to be selected on the UK team.
Yeah, I can understand that. But we'll let you go. But before I let you give a shout out, I just want to say we'd love to get you back on when the season finishes airing, and we can really kind of break the season down from the perspective of somebody who was in the house. Obviously, we've had to be limited on what we say today because we obviously can't give information away. But we'd love to get you back on again and break the season down and talk about the fights and things like that, if that's all right.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, my fight, obviously, Bradley's fighting tonight, 12 o'clock, ESPN. Yeah. And mine's the last lightweight fight next week, so everybody tune in, and that'll be an awesome fight to watch. Yeah,
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to tonight's fight and your fight. But yeah, we'll get in contact again then, and we'll get you back on after the season's finishes. We can really break things down then as well, and we can go into the nitty-gritty of the fight. But before we let you go, do you want to shout out friends, family, sponsors, and let people know your Twitter handle and also your Facebook details as well?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all the lads down at Everton Submission Wrestling, Darren Morris, Jack Manford, Chris Orban, Callum Morris, all the lads down there, appreciate everything. Shout out to my family, mum and dad, for being everything they've done for me, I appreciate it. Stu McCulloch for my boxing, hands are getting better because of you, thanks a lot. And yeah, my Twitter name is @M_Wilkinson MMA, and my Twitter name is Mike Wilkinson.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Mike, for coming on. We really appreciate it. I hope it seems strange wishing you good luck for something that's already happened, but I hope the show, you know what I mean. But I hope the show's gone well for you, and I hope we get to see you on the. I know it's not a finale as such, but on the I think it's probably a UFC on Fuel or FX card. But I hope we get to see you on that as well. Yeah, we'll be in contact.